Listen to me very carefully. You can be doing everything right, looking good, being supportive, showing interest, and still not be the woman he can't stop thinking about. And here's the part that nobody talks about. There's a massive difference between a man who likes you and a man who craves you. Liking you means he enjoys your company. Craving you means he physically can't get you out of his head, even when he's trying to focus on something else. I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound completely backwards, but stay with me. The women men secretly crave aren't the ones bending over backwards to make them happy. They're not the ones always texting first, always being available, always making things easy. They're the ones doing something completely different, something most women have been told is wrong. And once you understand these 6 rules, you'll finally get why some women haunt men's minds for years, while others get forgotten in weeks. What if I told you that every time you think you're getting closer to him, you might actually be pushing his craving for you further away? That the things you're doing because you think they show you care are actually the exact things making him lose that desperate need for you. Today, I'm going to break down 6 rules that create the kind of attraction that keeps you living rent-free in his mind. But here's the uncomfortable truth. These rules are going to ask you to do the exact opposite of what feels natural when you really like someone. Before we get into the 6 rules, we need to talk about what craving actually is. Because most women are out here trying to make men like them more, respect them more, commit to them more. But craving, that's a completely different game. Craving isn't logical. It's not something a man decides to feel because you checked all his boxes. It's that involuntary pull where he finds himself thinking about you when he should be thinking about work. Where he checks his phone hoping it's you. Where other women start looking less interesting because his brain keeps comparing them to you. Most women have been taught that the way to a man's heart is through being more supportive, more understanding, more accommodating, more present. But here's what actually happens in real life. The women men crave are the ones who make them work for something, not the ones who hand everything over freely. Men are built to crave what they can't quite pin down, what they haven't fully figured out yet, what they're scared they might lose. And that kind of dynamic isn't created by being difficult or playing games. It's created by being so genuinely invested in your own life that his access to you feels like a privilege, not a guarantee. Think about the last person you couldn't stop thinking about. I'm willing to bet they weren't the person who was always available, always predictable, always easy to reach. There was something about them that kept you guessing, kept you wanting more, kept you coming back. The 6 rules we're about to explore aren't manipulation tactics. They're not about tricking men or playing hard to get. They're about understanding how attraction actually works in the masculine mind and then aligning your behavior with that reality instead of fighting against it. So if you've been wondering why he seems interested but not obsessed, why he likes you but doesn't seem to need you, why he's around but not all in this is for you, the woman you're about to become doesn't just get liked, she gets craved. Rule 1, never be more invested than he is. This is where most women lose the game before it even starts. They meet someone they really like, feel that spark, and immediately start investing more energy, more time, more emotion than he's investing back. And the second that imbalance happens, craving dies. Men crave what meets them at their level, not what chases them beyond it. When you're texting him more than he texts you, when you're making all the plans, when you're doing the emotional heavy lifting in the connection, you're not creating attraction. You're creating comfort for him and anxiety for yourself. Here's what most women don't understand about masculine psychology. Men are hardwired to pursue, not because they're playing games, but because pursuit is how they determine value. When you overfunction in the early stages, you rob him of the chance to wonder about you, to work for you, to prove himself to you. A woman who understands this rule pays attention to effort. When he texts, she texts back. When he makes plans, she shows up. But she's not out here doing twice the work, hoping it'll make him match her energy eventually. She knows that a man's level of investment tells her everything she needs to know about his interest. This doesn't mean being cold or playing games with response times. It means being honest about what you're actually experiencing. If he's taking 3 days to text back, you're not sitting there crafting the perfect response within minutes. If he's being vague about plans, you're not filling in all the blanks for him. When you match his investment instead of exceeding it, something shifts. He starts to feel like he needs to do more to keep your attention. He starts to notice when you're not as available as you used to be. He starts to wonder if maybe he's not doing enough. And here's the beautiful part. The right man won't be put off by this. He'll actually respect it. Because men know the difference between genuine mutual interest and one-sided pursuit, even if they're not always honest about preferring the latter. Your equal investment isn't playing hard to get. It's respecting yourself enough to only show up where you're being met. Rule 2, keep parts of your life that don't include him. The fastest way to kill craving is to make your entire world about him. When every free moment goes to him, when all your stories involve him, when your happiness starts depending on his attention, you don't become more attractive. You become predictable. Men crave mystery. Not the manufactured kind where you pretend to be busy, but the real kind where you actually have a life that's so full and so interesting that he's getting access to pieces of it, not all of it. Here's what happens when women fall for someone. They start cancelling plans with friends to be available for him. They stop pursuing their hobbies because spending time with him feels more important. They restructure their entire schedule around his availability. And slowly, without realizing it, they become less of the person he was attracted to in the first place. A woman men crave has nights where she's not available because she's doing something that matters to her. She has friendships that existed before him and will exist after him. She has goals she's working toward that have nothing to do with the relationship. She has sources of joy that don't require his presence. This isn't about making him jealous or proving you don't need him. It's about maintaining the complexity that made you interesting in the first place. Because the truth is, a woman with her own full life is infinitely more attractive than a woman whose life revolves around a man. When you keep parts of your life separate, you give him something to be curious about. He wonders what you're doing when you're not with him. He wants to know more about the things you're passionate about. He starts to realize that your time is valuable because you're choosing to spend it with him instead of being available by default. And here's what men will never tell you but absolutely feel. They crave women who have their own identity, their own world, their own purpose. Not because they don't want to be important to you, but because they don't want to be responsible for your entire happiness. Keep your girls' nights, keep your hobbies, keep your ambitions, keep the parts of yourself that are just yours, because the woman he can't stop thinking about is the one who has a life worth thinking about. Rule 3, let him experience missing you. Most women are so terrified of being forgotten that they never give men the chance to actually miss them. They're always there, always responsive, always available. And when you're always accessible, there's nothing to crave. Craving requires absence, not game-playing absence where you disappear to manipulate him, but natural absence where you have your own rhythm and he's not the center of it. Here's what most women don't realize. The feeling of missing someone is one of the most powerful relationship-building emotions that exists. When a man misses you, he's not just noticing you're gone, he's feeling the absence of how you make him feel. And that feeling is what builds craving. But you can't create that if you're always in his space. If you're texting him throughout the day, seeing him every free moment, being immediately available every time he reaches out, there's no room for missing to happen. A woman who understands this rule doesn't make herself constantly available. She has nights where she's busy and she's not explaining every detail of what she's doing. She has days where her responses are slower because she's genuinely focused on other things. She has moments where she's not the one initiating because she's comfortable with silence. This doesn't mean ignoring him or being inconsistent. It means having a life that naturally creates space and being comfortable with that space instead of rushing to fill it. When you let him experience missing you, his mind does something powerful. It starts building you up. He remembers the best moments with you. He wonders what you're doing. He starts to feel like he wants more of your time than he's getting. And that wanting, that's craving being born. Men will never crave what's always available to them. They crave what they have to wait for, what they have to earn, what they don't have unlimited access to. Not because they're playing games, but because human psychology values what feels scarce. And here's what happens when you consistently give him space to miss you. He starts to initiate more. He starts to make more effort to see you. He starts to value the time he does get with you because it's not guaranteed. Let him miss you. Let him wonder. Let him feel the absence of your energy because that's where craving grows. Rule 4, never sacrifice your standards to keep him comfortable. This is where women lose themselves completely and wonder why the craving disappeared. They start compromising on what they said they needed. They start accepting behavior that doesn't feel good because they're scared of seeming difficult. They start shrinking their expectations to fit what he's offering. But here's the truth men will never tell you. They don't crave women who bend to keep them comfortable. They crave women who hold their ground even when it's uncomfortable. When you lower your standards to accommodate his inconsistency, his lack of effort, his unclear intentions, you're not keeping him interested. You're teaching him that your boundaries are negotiable. And the moment a man learns that your standards are flexible, craving evaporates. A woman men crave knows what she deserves and she doesn't apologize for it. When something doesn't feel right, she speaks up. When behavior doesn't match words, she addresses it. When she's not getting what she needs, she doesn't pretend she is. This doesn't mean being demanding or unreasonable. It means being clear. When you say you want consistency, you actually require consistency. When you say you don't do casual, you don't make exceptions when he's charming. When you say respect matters, you don't overlook disrespect because you like him. Here's what happens when you sacrifice your standards. You become easier to take for granted. He learns that he can put in minimal effort and still keep you around. He realizes that his words matter more than his actions because you respond to potential instead of reality. But when you hold your standards steady, something completely different happens. He realizes you're not someone he can just keep on the hook. He understands that if he wants you in his life, he has to actually show up properly. He starts to see you as someone valuable because you treat yourself as valuable. Men crave what challenges them to be better. They crave women who inspire them to rise up, not women who make it easy for them to stay comfortable in mediocrity. Your standards aren't negotiable, and the man who craves you won't want them to be. Rule 5. Be emotionally unpredictable in the right way. Most women think men want consistency, and they do, but not the kind you think. They don't want you to be the same safe, predictable, always positive present. They want you to be real, which means sometimes you're playful, sometimes you're serious, sometimes you're warm, sometimes you're distant. Men crave women they can't completely figure out. Not because you're being fake or playing games, but because you're complex enough to have different emotional layers. Here's what most women do. They try to always be pleasant, always be positive, always be the fun, easygoing girl. They hide their frustrations, mask their disappointments, and present this one-dimensional version of themselves that feels safe but ultimately boring. A woman who creates craving shows her full range. When she's happy, she's genuinely happy. When she's frustrated, she expresses it clearly, without drama. When she needs space, she takes it. When she's feeling playful, she initiates. She doesn't perform one consistent emotion, she lives authentically through all of them. This doesn't mean being moody or unstable. It means being human. It means he can't always predict how you're going to react, what you're going to say, what mood you're going to be in. And that unpredictability keeps his mind engaged. When you're emotionally predictable, he stops paying attention to the details. He knows exactly how you'll respond to everything. There's no mystery, no discovery, no need to stay emotionally sharp around you. But when you have emotional range, he has to stay present. He has to actually tune into where you're at. He can't autopilot the relationship because you're not autopiloting yourself. Here's what happens when you embrace emotional unpredictability. He stays more engaged in conversations because he doesn't know where they'll go. He pays more attention to your energy because it shifts naturally. He finds himself more drawn to you because you're not a script he's already memorized. Men crave women who feel real, not perfect. Women who have depth, not just a pleasant surface. Women who keep them guessing in the best possible way. Rule 6. Make him earn your emotional intimacy. This is the rule that separates women men crave from women men forget. Most women give away deep emotional intimacy way too fast, thinking it creates connection. But here's what it actually does. It removes all the challenge of getting to know you. Men crave what they have to work to uncover. When you share everything about yourself in the first few dates, all your fears, all your past relationships, all your vulnerabilities, you're not building intimacy, you're eliminating mystery. A woman who understands this rule shares herself in layers. She's warm and engaging, but she doesn't give away her deepest thoughts and feelings to someone who hasn't earned that level of access yet. She lets him discover who she is over time, through experiences, through consistent presence, through proving he's worthy of those deeper parts. This doesn't mean being closed off or playing hard to get emotionally. It means understanding that intimacy has levels, and early stage dating isn't the time for level 10 vulnerability. When you make him earn your emotional intimacy, several things happen. First, he has to stay around longer to discover the full you. Second, he has to prove through actions that he's trustworthy. Third, he starts to value what he learns about you because it wasn't freely given to everyone. Here's what most women don't understand. Men are hunters by nature, and that doesn't just apply to physical pursuit. They want to hunt for your trust, for your vulnerability, for the deeper layers of who you are. When you hand all of that over immediately, you remove the entire journey. A woman men crave has layers. She has stories she doesn't tell on the first date. She has vulnerabilities she only shares when trust has been built. She has parts of herself that feel like rewards for sticking around, showing up consistently, and proving worthiness. This creates investment because the more time and energy he puts into discovering who you really are, the more valuable you become to him. He's not just attracted to you, he's invested in you. And investment creates craving. Men will never crave what's given to them before they've done anything to deserve it. They crave what they had to work to understand, what they had to earn the right to know, what they had to prove themselves worthy of receiving. Make him earn you, all of you, every layer. Let me tell you what happens when women actually live by these 6 rules. Because this isn't just theory, it's transformation that happens over and over again. Take Sarah. She had been dating someone for 2 months who seemed interested but never fully committed. She was always available, always understanding, always accommodating his schedule. Then she started applying these rules. Instead of over-investing, she matched his energy. Instead of being constantly available, she maintained her own life. Instead of accepting his vague plans, she held her standards. Within 3 weeks, he went from casually interested to actively pursuing. Not because she played games, but because she stopped making it easy for him to take her for granted. Or consider Jessica, who used to share everything about herself immediately with every guy she dated. Deep conversations on the first date, vulnerability by the second week, complete emotional access by the third. And every single time, the guy would lose interest shortly after. When she started making men earn her emotional intimacy, everything shifted. She stayed warm and engaging, but she saved the deeper parts of herself for men who stuck around and proved consistent. Suddenly, men were staying interested longer, investing more effort, and actually craving more time with her. Then there's Michelle, who used to be so terrified of being forgotten that she never gave men space to miss her. Constant texts, always saying yes to plans, making herself endlessly available. She thought it showed she cared, but it actually made her forgettable. When she started creating natural space, having her own plans, being genuinely busy with her own life, letting conversations have breathing room, something fascinating happened. The men in her life started reaching out more, making more effort to see her, and expressing how much they looked forward to their time together. These transformations didn't require becoming someone different. They required understanding how masculine craving actually works and aligning behavior with that reality instead of with what feels comfortable. Knowing these rules intellectually won't change anything. Living them daily is what creates the shift that makes men crave you. So how do you integrate these principles into your real life, especially when you really like someone and every instinct is telling you to do the opposite? First, every time you're about to reach out to him, ask yourself, am I matching his investment or exceeding it? If you're exceeding it, wait, let him come to you.